We're here today with Rich Matassa, and I'd like to start the questioning off here by talking about some of the current commissioners. It seems think they feel like they can't cut the general budget any more than where it's already been, and a lot of these outgoing constitutional officers are encouraging them to increase the millage rate, increase taxes. How do you feel about that?
Well, I answer this question a lot. The answer is to take more from people who don't have it. That's absolutely an unacceptable answer. I've gone into many times with people my personal story, my story of my family, who we've worked hard. We're fortunate enough to have invested in a lot of property around Hernando County. And when we raised the millage rate last time, I met with county commissioners individually and had discussions about it. And explained to them that I couldn't go back to my tenants, I couldn't go back to our commercial tenants. There was nowhere to get it except for take it out of my kids' money that I've put away and my family's put away for years. Take from my mother's retirement on the properties we own as a family, and she had to put her share in. It's an unacceptable answer. The only answer is to cut government in any way, shape, or form that we can. If there's people there who just can't do it, we will find the people who can.
Well, some of these same commissioners have said that the only other place to go to now are the constitutional officers as far as making cuts. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm excited about the constitutional officers. I think that with all new blood, with the exception of possibly the sheriff, there's no longer that tendency to have to protect what you have done in the past or explain what you've done in the past. If things were done that maybe didn't make sense, or money was spent in a way that didn't need to be spent, the new people obviously have the opportunity to cut that money without really having to defend it and defend their position from before. So I think this is an exciting time for Hernando County.
A lot of people have talked about the bus, and Drusbeck in some debates he had with Sager talked about how actually keeping the bus was saving the county money. How do you feel about keeping the bus?
I feel the bus is absolutely a waste of money. Not only our local tax dollars, but our state and federal tax dollars that we're getting on the bus. That's also our money. And the truth of the matter is, the federal tax dollars isn't even ours. It's our grandkids. And so to sit here and say, it's somebody else's money, you're right, it's somebody else's money. It's my grandkids' money that I don't think I'm going to ask them to borrow. I don't go to my kids' piggy bank and take money out to go to the store. So I'm not going to use somebody else's money either. As far as local tax dollars on it, that's a total waste of money. There's other mechanisms out there that we can do, like we used to have here in Hernando County. More sparsely populated in that we're urban sprawl. We're not really a dense urban population. It's not really a place for mass transit. I've offered up that if they go from Walmart to Walmart. So if Walmart wants to pay for a bus, we can put Walmart all over the side of it, and they can drive around in circles with Walmart on it. But as far as taxpayers throwing their money at it, I don't see the logic.
Okay. We've got a new county administrator. Have you met him yet?
I have not had the opportunity.
Building impact fees. They basically brought those down to zero. Would you leave the building impact fees where they are?
Impact fees are what help grow our government, and it's part of the problem and not part of the solution. It's really something that I think could have been done without. It's wonderful that the state has pulled back all the requirements of DCA. We know there's no longer all of these stringent requirements on roadway networks, on parks, on things such as that. And I think that's great. And as our community grows in the future, we'll have to look for other ways to pay for infrastructure if we need to improve the infrastructure. Right now, our infrastructure is ahead of schedule. I mean, on a state road system basis. So I think that we've been fortunate that leaders in our community in the past have stepped up and fought hard for state funding when there was state funding available, and spent a lot of money widening roads that at the time were really not necessary. But looking into the future, they could help us. So I think we're where we need to be. I don't think there's any reason for impact fees at this time or in the near future. I think that's something that can be done in other ways. There's definitely other ways to do that as far as, creating taxing districts, taxing for usage of roadways, through gas taxes in the future. I'm not in favor of any taxes if we can help it, but when things are necessary as a government, you can work through them. You don't have to bill people up front. Right now, charging a fee to move to Hernando County, I don't see too many people paying it.
That brings up another subject. You talk about roadways and infrastructure. There are a lot of roads that are not paved in Hernando County. Do you think that that the county is spending money appropriately for paving of highways here in Hernando County?
Well, the unpaved roads is a whole different network. It's addressed through, it's part of DPW has to maintain those. There has been a lot of research done. As a matter of fact, one of my employees has put a lot of time into using millings and things as opposed to lime rock to cut down on the dust, to cut down on the maintenance. I know there's a pilot program out there which will actually reduce our long-term maintenance costs, and that's what DPW is working through now. And they have a few roads out there that they've put millings down as opposed to continuing to maintain lime rock to see how that maintenance works and if it reduces the cost. Because actually over the long term and the short term, especially with all the rains we've had lately, millings keep the road together where lime rock washes away and we have additional maintenance that we need to do. So, there are things out there, not to mention there are some federal laws that have some dust control issues that we currently violate. So.
Oh, really? Okay. Some of the commissioners have talked about the rollback tax not being a tax increase. And I'm not naming names there, but
it's a deception. It's a lie. Straight up, it's a deception and a lie. The value of your property is not controlled by the county commission. The value of your property is controlled by the market. The market continues to decline for reasons such as sinkholes, such as, we're being beat out by other places for retirees, and we've lost focus on even having that as part of our market. So our market continues to decline, and declining tax base is a direct result of that. The only thing county commission controls in the equation to calculate your property taxes is the millage rate. If they increase the millage rate, they can call it whatever they want, but the only possible way that they control taxes is by voting on the millage rate up or down. They can call it what they want, they can do what they want, but if you increase the percentage of the millage rate times the multiplier of a declining value, which they do not control, you've increased the end result.
Okay. Well, those decreasing tax rolls, are creating a shortfall right now. In the last estimate, at first it started out at 7 million or 7.1 million. Now it's down to like 6 million. Where would you cut? What would you do to try and balance the budget?
As a policymaker, I don't believe that's my decision. I answer this question to a lot of people, and you put people in charge of things. I put people in charge of things on a day-to-day basis in business, and you give them a direction. We have county people right now that run departments. They know what they need to do. They know what may not be necessary. They should be bringing back options to us. All we should do as county commissioners is give them the number that they got to work within. If they can't work within that number, and they have legitimate reasons for that, then we'll have to work through it and find other places. In other departments, maybe we have to get them more money. But if they're just unwilling to cut because that's the way they've always done it, then let's find some people who can.
Is there anything else that you'd like to tell people?
In an overall scheme right now, Hernando County, and the reason I've gotten into this race, our leadership has some very large deficiencies. Currently, county government, when you walk in any of the departments, it's really not an atmosphere of how we can help you, how we can get things done, how we can make Hernando County a better place. A lot of times you find roadblocks and bureaucrats that are sitting there telling you what you can't do and not necessarily how you can get something done.
Have you run into those things in business yourself?
Every day. It's killing. We have departments over there that have killed hundreds of thousands of dollars worth additions and pool constructions and things like that in Hernando County that we run into every day, and continue to put a lot of strain on the free market. It's not an attitude of how we can get things done, but how you just can't do that. And that mentality has to change. That's a culture. We need positive leadership to move forward and get out of the rut we're in and move ahead. For a long time now, our government has been reactive to the declining market as opposed to being proactive and looking at how we can change the market, how we can lead our way out of this funk and not sit here and look at it every day and say, oh, it's so terrible. Well, yeah, it's bad. But how are we going to change that? Who's going to lead us out of that? That's one of the things I hope this county administrator can bring a positive attitude to his employees on a day-to-day basis. Of when they come to work, they have pride in Hernando County. They have pride in where they work. They want to make it a better place. And I just don't see that right now.
Okay. Let's hope we can make it a better place. Thank you for the interview. I appreciate you talking to me.
Thanks, Aaron.
And you have a good day.
You too, thanks.